I'm Tony, I'm Head of Marketing at EmuBands. We are a digital music distribution company. I'm sure that some of you have spoke to us, maybe you use us already. We're based in Glasgow, we've got staff dotted around the place. EmuBands is the trusted release partner of thousands of artists, labels and managers across the world. With supercharged release features and expert support. We provide you with a low-cost solution to distribute your music, retain 100% of your rights, and keep all your copyright. So today, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the different toolkits that are available to artists on DSPs, some tips to optimize your presence on those DSPs, and I'll look a little bit about some campaigns and some video features that you can use on certain DSPs. I've had to make an assumption, I don't know anything about you guys, that this is the first time you've ever heard of an artist toolkit. I'm going to maybe patronize some of you, sorry in advance. If you know about this stuff, shut up, okay? What have we got? I'm going to go over 5 of these. So Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Deezer, Tidal. What do? They all do similar things. Some of them do more than others. They're platforms run by the DSPs, allowing you to control your presence on them. When I'm talking about controlling your presence, I mean the aesthetic presence, how you're presented to your fans on those services. And it also provides insights into your streaming performance, demographics, and other metrics to help you understand your fan bases on DSPs. Spotify for Artists is probably the most feature-rich of all those toolkits. So I'll do a bit of a deeper dive into Spotify for Artists as we go along. Allows you to customize your profile, as I just said, so like adding bios, gallery images, social media links, that kind of thing. You can pitch directly to Spotify's editorial team, which is super useful. It allows you to get verified, you get a blue tick on Spotify, a bit of a vanity metric, but it looks good. You can increase engagement through these tools like Spotify Canvas and Artist Pick and some artist playlists that I'll talk a little bit about as we go on. You can learn more about who's listening to you and where they found you, and you can run campaigns through Campaign Kit. Apple does much the same. A noticeable difference there is that you can't pitch directly to Apple Music's editorial. You have to do that through your distributor or your label contact, whoever that is. What you can do that Spotify doesn't do is you can create link fire links directly in Apple Music for Artists. So that's not just for Apple Music links, that's for your creating smart links and landing pages for all your DSPs. You can do that for free through Apple Music. And they're integrated with Shazam. Apple owns Shazam, so it allows you to track where people are Shazamming your music, giving you insights into like offline plays. If you're being played in a coffee shop, someone Shazammed it, you're going to get notified of that through Apple Music. These are for creators. Again, it's the same thing, except it doesn't do a couple of things. It does allow you to do an artist pick, so it's called Highlight. I'll explain like how that works. And you can pitch directly in if you have label access on Deezer, but if you don't have that when you sign up, again, just speak to your distributor about it because they will. Amazon, much the same, you can pitch directly into them, and it also gives you voice data, so you get data about how people are interacting with Alexa smart speakers to find your music, which can be, people have ran like Alexa specific marketing campaigns and stuff like that, so the data's all in there for you to look at. And Tidal have Tidal Artist Home, so Tidal Artist Home launched, well, fully launched this year, so it doesn't have as many of the features that the other ones do, but I imagine as you'll see a lot more features as this year progresses when they sort of update it. So the audience insights, like I'll just scroll, I've got notes here for this. So each DSP comes with free analytics, showing who's listening to you, where they found you, such as playlists that are bringing you streams. You know, it's where listeners are in the world, useful for identifying opportunities on the ground for marketing and audience building, as well as allowing you to understand that journey from casual listener to superfans. And your distributor can provide some of the data that you see in these toolkits, but the data's not as rich. So the data that we get usually relies on financial reporting, so there's nowhere near as much identifiable information through that, and it also runs at a 2 to 3 month delay, whereas the toolkits will give you much richer information, and it's updated either in real time or daily. So it's worth kind of using the data within those toolkits. All of the DSPs that I'm speaking about allow you to customize your profile through their toolkits. So that's like adding an artist bio, a gallery of images, and social media links to your profile. I mean, like, why is that actually important, right? It's just an image, it's just a bio or whatever. And the way that a lot of listeners interact with artists for the first time through Spotify or Apple or any of these services, we know from the data that the first time that someone finds you on these services is usually through a playlist. So they know nothing about you, and the first place that they're going to go after they discover your music is straight to your artist profile. So that's really the purpose of what that's for. It's that first impression, so you need to make sure that it makes the most of the attention that it gets. It's your story, so just tell it in your own words, like 1,500 characters. Write it in your own voice, keep it updated, don't use like time-sensitive information in it unless you're going to keep it up to date. 3 of them allow you to pitch directly in. So you can pitch directly to editorial teams through Amazon, Deezer, and Spotify. For the other services, it's not built into their toolkit, so you need to have a relationship with your distributor, or your label, or someone to do that for you. Yeah, I mean, it's not like, people just sort of think that it's falling on deaf ears using these pitching tools. Through 2020 and 2021 alone, 150,000 artists on Spotify who'd never been playlisted before got playlists as a result of using the Spotify for Artists pitching tool. So that's just one DSP, and it's one example of it. So it does work. You need to just be making use of all the available features that are in that toolkit, making sure that your profiles are up to date, and pitching in early as well. So trying to pitch in 2 to 3 weeks before is always useful. The artist pick, highlight on Deezer. So it's just like a way that you can spotlight something on your profile. So the artist pick is on Ethan's profile here. It's this thing here. So it's giving you a nice big chunk of your profile. It sits at the top of your profile, so before the releases. And you control that yourself through Spotify for Artists or through Deezer. It lives at your on the top of your profile for 2 weeks, so it can be anything that you want it to be. It can be a playlist, it can be your new track, it can be someone else's track that you're collabing on, it can be show announcements, it can be ticket links, it can be merch or a podcast or whatever. But yeah, it just gives, it's a good bit of real estate on your profile, and you can update it as often as you like. Artist playlists are another feature that's specific to Spotify. So on Zoe's profile here, you can see them. It's down near the bottom, just below where the bio and stuff is. So you make these yourself basically through Spotify, and then you add them to your profile through Spotify for Artists. So it can be a collection of your own tracks, or like songs that you're listening to in the van on tour, or stuff that influenced you. It could be whatever you like. It's useful for a number of reasons. So first main reason is that it positively impacts the algorithms that power the music discovery playlists and things like autoplay and radio on Spotify. It just gives the algorithm a better idea of, like, you're kind of basically encouraging like repeat visitors to your profile and more engaged listeners, which is a good thing. It gives you a chance to bring people back to your profile maybe when you're out of cycle, when you're not in campaign. So when you're not running a release campaign, it's maybe been a few months since your single came out or whatever, but you're keeping these playlists up to date on a weekly basis. It just gives you something to sort of like a bit of fodder to shout about on socials and bring people back. Another reason why it's useful is that listeners on Spotify's free tier, they can't play a single track on demand. So if you lead, if you share like a single track link on Instagram or Spotify, Facebook or whatever, like if you're on Spotify's free tier and you click on that link, they're forced into shuffle mode, so it won't play your track right away, it will play something else. If you lead with a playlist that you've made and you make your track number one, people on Spotify's free tier, they still have to shuffle through your playlist, but it will always play track number one first for them. So if your track's number one and you share that playlist on your socials, they're always going to get your track first. So it's always a good idea to do that. As another sort of general point here, like keeping your profile attractive and up to date with playlists and like other engaging content can encourage people to follow you on Spotify. And I always tell people, like, following the follower count, I feel like it gets ignored a little bit, but it's one of the most like important metrics for a young artist or someone who's just starting out to focus on, because it's quite actionable. It's quite easy to get people in to follow you on Spotify. It doesn't cost anything. And that is really, really important for powering those like personalized playlists that people get on Spotify. So, if you focus on trying to build that up, you'll definitely see the next time you release music, you'll see that it's getting programmed in more personalized playlists, and it should just compound from there a little bit. Campaign kit, I've spoken a little bit about some of the stuff here already. So I've spoken about playlisting. Discovery mode is a new feature that they've launched, so it lets you opt into getting more algorithmic placements for your tracks, increasing your streams. It's a great tool. It has no upfront cost. It works on a rev share with Spotify, so they basically pay out, they take a 30% commission for discovery mode streams, is how best I would describe that. Marquee is like when you use Spotify and you open the Spotify app, and it's like a pop-up that's like new music from this artist, and you have to physically dismiss the message. So that's it's like a big like in-your-face advert, which is available for new releases only. Showcase is a sponsored advert on the Spotify homepage. They're both cost attached, and we don't have that much time, so I'll focus on discovery mode and how that works, as the barrier to entry for discovery mode is a little bit less. But if you're interested in looking at either of these, Marquee is cost per impression, so like cost per however many thousands of people actually view the advert. Showcase is cost per click, so how many people actually click on the advert. But you can look into this stuff and order it through Spotify for Artists as well. Discovery mode, so like there's no upfront budget. It works by including your tracks in algorithmic playlists more often to more people. Like I said, they deduct like a 30% commission, and other streams of the same track that are played out with discovery mode. So if they're just like a regular play, if I go and play the track whilst you've got discovery mode campaign running on that track, that's still going to earn full royalties. It's not a commissionable stream, so you only pay commission on the streams for people that basically wouldn't have discovered your music otherwise through discovery mode. And it's got strict eligibility criteria, so we'll talk about how that works. So there's two types of it. There's artist eligibility and there's song eligibility. So as an artist, you need to have 3 eligible songs. You need to have at least 25,000 monthly listeners, and you have to have an active Spotify for Artists team that's registered in an eligible country. So I don't know where everyone's from, but the UK, Ireland, Europe are all eligible countries for discovery mode. For the song, it needs to be distributed by a participating distributor, which is EmuBands is a discovery mode participating distributor. Quite a few of us now, if you look on Spotify for Artists for the list. It needs to have been streamed in the last 30 days, and it needs to have been streamed at least 20 times in discovery mode context in the last 28 days. Discovery mode contexts are just those things that I spoke about, so it needs to have been played through the personalized recommendations, so like autoplay or these like made-for-you playlists or Spotify radio. It needs to have been played at least 20 times within the context of that within the last 28 days. Otherwise, it's not eligible. But it's seen some great outcomes. So, like, artists on average see 50% increase in saves, 44% increase in playlist adds from users, 37% in follows during the first month. And you can see that here. It's really good for like the international reach. So 58% of all first-time artist discoveries are from outside the artist's home country. And on average, tracks are streamed in more than 100 markets during the campaign period. So it's designed for catalogue releases, stuff that's already out, but you can use it sort of in tandem with your frontline campaigns. I ran out of time, but hopefully I'll just race through this. Have we got anything on after it? Okay, cool. So if user, okay. Yeah, so essentially like it runs alongside your new release campaigns. You could do it before to sort of prime your audience again and sort of get that uplift in monthly listeners just before your new tracks come out. In Spotify Canvas, which is my last slide, these are like just the move-in videos that you see on Spotify. You can upload them directly yourself. Short looping videos. It makes it really rich sharing content. So when people share it to like Instagram stories, that's what these screenshots are actually from. So it looks great. You see like tracks with Canvas shared almost 3 times as much as tracks without. And you upload it directly yourself once the track's gone live. And Apple Motion Art, similar. Spotify have also just launched Spotify Clips, which is kind of more like a music video idea, and again, you upload that directly yourself. But yeah, I think we've got time for some questions since there's not anything on afterwards. So if anyone wants to, I think there's a microphone or something like that. Yeah, okay.
Discovery mode, thank you for your presentation.
No problem.
Discovery mode sounds really good, but like for me and many of my friends, we're not at that 25,000 listeners a month. So how do you get there?
Great question, I don't know. If I knew, I would be doing it myself. No, I'd love to just chat to you more in depth about it because it's so nuanced, right? So like, I'll get your details after this and I'll have a chat to you about what you're doing in your campaigns and stuff. But I'm not going to pretend that it's easy to get to 25,000 monthly listeners, you know. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, I don't have like a magic answer to give you. Yeah. Anyone else? All good? Oh, one person.
Hi, thanks very much for the presentation. We are actually with EmuBands and we've released 2 singles so far. Now, I spoke to SJ yesterday and got some good information. I was just wondering if I get any more on just the big thing for us is the playlist pitching.
Yeah.
What seems to work, what you guys want from us to give you, what makes it easier for you to see results, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the first, like, overarching thing is that, like, the song needs to be, like, really well recorded and needs to be, like, it needs to be a brilliant song, like, genuinely. I know that sounds like such a throwaway thing to say. But you should just give us, like, something that's going to help it stand out. So if I need it to be as original as possible. The pitch just needs to be something that there's a good takeaway from. So tell me what the song's about, tell me the writing process, tell me things that you're doing to market your release. Things that are also helpful is like, have you had any previous successes on platform? But also like just following everything I just said there, like if you're driving organic growth yourself, it's going to put you in a much better position by the time you go to pitch, if they can see those metrics like going upward. But yeah, I don't know, again, it's like there's no magic answer to it, unfortunately.